1, action.
Hey everybody, this video is going to walk you through how to set up the printer for your event. So normally we would have a separate table set up with props. And what really makes us different and a differentiating competitive advantage that we have is that we can set that printer pretty much anywhere in the room, which makes it really nice for events where there's either a tight space or you really want people to move from the photo booth to get their pictures, put their props away, so on and so forth. So for this example, I'm just going to use this table right next to it. But like I said, normally you would have a separate table with props. That's where the printer would go. And we have this really long USB cable, which allows us really to put the printer anywhere in the room within like a 20-25 foot proximity. Okay, so you want to take your printer bag out. And this is what it looks like here. And again, printer bag is where you'll find also the Surface Pro at the beginning when you're setting everything up. So in this case, just taking it out of there, it's no longer in there. Okay, so I'm going to set this on the floor and take the printer out. And we want to be careful, obviously not to drop the printer. And we'll set it up on the table here gently. And the reason we want to be gentle is that since there is paper inside and there's cutters and there's different types of mechanical equipment in there, we don't want anything to shift or anything to come out of place because then it'll just create more work for us. Okay, so in the printer bag we will have a tray that catches our prints. So this goes directly in front like so. And we will have a printer cable and a power cable. Can you pause it really quick? So inside the printer bag you'll find two critical cables. One of them is for power. So it's just like we used on the Flash as a 3-prong power cable. And we'll have a printer USB cable. So on one end, we'll have a USB. On the other end, we'll have a connector to go inside the printer. Okay, so let's first connect those into the printer. So we'll turn this so you can see. So on the side, on the very top, we have the connector that goes for the USB there. So once it snaps in, we know it's in. And here, I'll do it one more time just so we could hear it. Just like that. Next thing is we'll connect the 3-prong power cable to the printer. And just like this. And again, I try to be a little careful in making sure that I'm holding one side and I'm not just pushing this off the table or something like that, because that could happen. Okay, so then we will take our USB extension that's coming from the photo booth and we will connect the printer with the USB extender, just like that. So once these two are connected, our printer should be able to then talk to the Surface Pro once there's power. So now let's connect this to power. Normally what we would do is we would find a separate plug to connect the power for the printer, but really this is where your creativity is important. We will have a separate power strip so that you could have underneath the table, and you can connect that anywhere where you're going to get a power source. I mean, you could even daisy chain it or connect it into what you're connecting the power strip over here. So for this purpose, I'm going to just do it here so to show you guys. So printer is now on. Very good. And it sounds like the Surface Pro recognized it. So very good. So what I will do is I'm just going to go to a past event and print something so that we could see it all printing. Now when we look at the software, there are some printer settings that normally you wouldn't have to change, but you know, in a scenario where it's not printing, I want to show you where to look. Right, Sam? Sam, you want to say hi? Mm-hmm. Okay. So you'll go to Settings, and then you'll go to Printing, Configure Printer, and right here it'll say, hey, you're using a DSRX1, and that's correct. So we'll click on that, and typically the only settings, sorry about that, fat fingers, sorry. So once it's highlighted, the only settings you're really going to need to change during when you're in the field is the setting of where it cuts the paper. So if you have an event and it's not cutting the way it's supposed to, in other words, it's not cutting the strips in half and creating 2 strips, or if you have a postcard style print, it's cutting it in half, then that means the print isn't set to be cutting properly. So the way you would change it is, as long as it's highlighted, you go to Preferences, and under Preferences, Advanced, and Advanced is the 2-inch cut. You either want to have it enabled or disabled. So enabled if it strips and needs to cut in half, disabled if it's a postcard style bigger sheet of paper. We want to disable it. We don't want it to be cutting. So in this case, it is strips, so I'm going to make sure it is enabled. Oh. I'm going to push OK, OK, and then apply. And then if I hit print here, it won't actually print. It'll just come back to the original screen, and then I can now launch my event. And let's see if it's printing properly. I'll go to one of the old strips from the last event, and I'll hit print. And then we should kind of immediately hear it. We're hearing it start up. So the first time around, it'll take about 15 seconds to warm up. But once that's done warming up, the print should usually take about 10 to 12 seconds or so. All right, that's good. So cut properly. Looks like we're good, and our printer's working.